Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Good to see you. It's been a hot minute. Turn that off right now. Let's see here. I got some stuff to do. Actually, I restarted everything because that's what we do right before streams, you know. There we go. All right, so we're gonna hang out on the Angmar server today for a little while and check out for I don't know what that means. There aren't drops for this game, so so it'll be on the minstrel here and the rune keeper. I need to check something out on the minstrel first before we do anything. And then get on over and work on the rune keeper, try to get him up the cap. Okay, let's see here. Get out away from the fireworks and stuff. What's up, Morty? How you doing? What's happening? Get over here. There we go. What's everybody up to? Oh, you got some dominoes? Yeah. Always go for pizza. You know what the best pizza is? It's the one that you have in front of you. It's kind of like the camera saying, you know, it's the best camera. It's the one that you have with you. So. Okay. I think I have everything situated. A healer for that. Mm-hmm. That. Something else I wanted to do at some point. I'm actually like checking out other creators' YouTube videos on Lotro and seeing what's up. Maybe get a little inspired by those, get into some other stuff. I don't know. Go ahead and CD. What do I need here? I need the bracelets. Not really. I don't know, dude. I don't know what you're even talking about right now. If you're talking about the Discord one, that's specific with Discord. That doesn't actually have anything to do with me. There aren't drops for lotro, so yeah, it's okay. I see it up there now. It's literally for Discord, and that's it. So and if that's what their thing is, that's what their thing is. I don't have any control over that, man. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I honestly have no idea. I have no idea. Let's see. What's that? Enhancement runes? I don't need those. Enhanced XP supply? I'll throw that to the other character for sure. For sure, dude. Yeah. Whatever. All right, so he looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and get on the RK now. All right, let's crank out some more levels on the RK. Yeah, it might be a nitro thing. Like, I don't honestly know. Few details. Buy one new sub, get 3 months Discord nitro. There you go. That's what it is. Problem solved. She got Kulang. I don't know that I want to do that. Well, okay, so let's take a look, see what the situation is with zones per level. Because we're level 37. I feel like it should be in the Misties and Angmar and Orakel and stuff like that. Zones by level. Boom. All right, let's see where we want to be right now. 37. Troll Shaws. Even dim. Ooh, we could go over to a Numinos. Yeah. It has some Numinos. A Numinos. Hey, what's up, Zenther? Thank you for the 74 months, man. Welcome back. How we doing? Good to see ya. So yeah, Misties are 40 to 45, Angmar's 40 to 50. So really, I guess we'll hang here. Maybe we'll actually go over to a Numinos. So these two quests that we have right now, we have this one and then Till Ruinen. I mean, the Till Ruinen stuff will be pretty good. So let's do that. Oh, thank you, Sully. That's pretty fun. What's up, Rez?
How can I be of service?
All right, go to Till Ruinen. All right, so let's get over here. Let's talk to the little Friar Tuck dude out here on the island. I should have, how much destiny do I have? 4,300, 250 apiece. Might as well use it. About the only thing it's good for, really. Extraordinary XP. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
What do you need? Please, stay a moment.
Would you do something for me?
Okay, so we got first riddle. I know what they all are. I just don't always remember what the yeah, it's a bat. It should be right there. I don't know why that fire sound always gets bugged. Hey, it went away. Two more. Okay, they're respawning nice and quick up here like that. All right, let's see how much XP this gives me.
What do you need?
Still pretty good.
Word with you?
Might I take a moment of your time?
This one is the warg. Bust open some eggs. Such a good sound, isn't it? Nasty. So Chad, how you guys feeling about Legacy of Morgoth? How you guys feeling about it? Are you excited for it? Kind of mixed on it? Where are you at on it? It's looking good from what you're seeing. Okay. Yeah, I think it's predominantly level 150 stuff, so that's that'd be a good idea if you want to experience it. Let's get, I mean, this island might actually just get me to 38 right now.
You startled me. Will you help me?
How can I be of service?
Yep.
Can I speak with you a moment?
That'll do. Ooh, those are green now though. Maybe might go start Angmar stuff actually. Do I have any mythal left? I do. Where's my map home? I have never set my map yet. I am so terrible about that. So we're gonna go up to like the beginning part of Angmar, I guess. Oh shit, which way am I going? That way. Hey Rambo. Ching ching. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for the 5 years of being subbed. Appreciate it. Damn, 5 years. It's a long time, bud. How you been? How are things? Also, just a heads up, chat, that this today I did turn on the HelloFresh campaign. It's on right now. I just don't have everything up and running right now. So if you do see down below, there is the panel for HelloFresh. It is for new subscribers for their service.
Greetings.
So, well, I have more on that. Hey, what up, train? What's happening, buddy? 81 months. 81. Ooh, I can turn this stuff in. Where's it? Yeah, give me this. Split the difference. Got heavy. Yeah.
What can I do for you? What
All
can I
right,
do?
Train. When are we setting up the garage stuff? I need times.
How can
I
I
need
be of
dates. I
service?
need to know when we're going to the farm. I need to know all these
Greetings.
things. I'm very action oriented. I need
How
a
can
game
I be
plan.
of service?
I need a game plan. Leave this stuff unchecked for a moment. No. See, I make the plans. You just give me information. See, that's what I'm doing right now. Oh no, where is it? There they are. This should... Oh, gotta keep that. Not worried about any of this stuff. Yeah, this can all be sold. Clean up my inventory. There we go. All right, let's see what we can
What can I do for you?
ooh, I guess we're gonna go to Esteldine. All right. Do I have that? North Downs? No. 38? Doesn't seem right.
What can I do for you?
That doesn't seem right at all. 38. Maybe it'll actually pose a problem if I actually go up here right now. A little bit of a challenge.
Stay a moment.
Yeah, Wardens 35. Yeah, I don't need to do that. The only problem I'm gonna run into is not having the stuff to do the Ramus. The Ramus Deluan. Yeah, I say let's just do it. Just get on up there. Yo, what level is it up there? Hey, what's up, nerdy? Good to see you. Doing all right. Doing all right. It's been a little chaotic the last week. Yeah, it's had some not so good news, but they're all right. That's why I missed streaming on Thursday and on Saturday. Also, like, this work has been kicking my ass. Like, it's been pretty busy. It's just a lot of stuff to do. Yeah, so it kind of makes it, you know, you only got so much of a social battery, and then you get home, and you know, we talk about it a lot where people assume that streaming is just like, oh, it's no big deal, you just get on camera and you're just playing a game and you're not really doing anything. It's like, well, to the contrary, you know. So, you know, I talk about it. I really wish I could do more of this. I know you've heard me say that for years now. It's just like, it's been more and more challenging, which kind of sucks because, like, I really wish I could do more. Like, I love making videos and I love streaming. It's so much fun, and it's just, it does take a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of effort. And like, when you want to produce things at a certain level, like, you guys know me, you've been around long enough. I am not gonna put something out just for the sake of putting something out. Like, if I want to put something out, I have thought behind it, and I want it to be good and quality, and I don't want to just put out crap. Like, I just don't want to do that. Like, it just, you know, I don't like that idea of just doing nothing. Yep, it is. It's rather demanding. There's so many things that need your attention. You know, sometimes if you miss a comment, somebody could get upset or things like that. Being like, you're actually doing raiding or PvP and actually having to focus on things on top of that, it is demanding. But that's part of what makes it so fun too. You know, it's different every time, different levels of engagement. It's just fun. You know, we got some cool stuff coming out in the next little bit. Just a reminder, so it's getting close now. In 8 days, 8 whole days, Ashes of Creation Alpha 2, we will be streaming. Myself and Trainsworth will be playing together, doing some duo streams and whatnot, playing all the classes and all that good stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll actually be the first time in a long time that me and Train have been able to stream together and do some stuff together. So that'll be exciting. It'll be a lot of fun. We get to check out a new game. Just always a reminder, you can do !Ashes in the chat. That'll get you the link for my referral code for Ashes of Creation. So basically, when the game comes out, if you use my link to create your account, you're basically linked to me. So that'll be cool and much appreciated as always. So yeah, so for those of you that are listening right now, who here is in the States? Hey, what's up, Miss Me? Look, I was trying to say two names at once. Miss Me and Smeal, what's up? Okay. So basically the thing with our... What's up, Bugworm? With the... Hey, Apu? With the HelloFresh campaign, I actually have a really easy one to start off. So our thing is going to be, we're going to be trying to hit 3 subscriptions with it. Pretty easy, nothing crazy. I'm going to post a lot of the information in Discord. So if you guys haven't been on there recently, there is a sponsorship details tab. That is actually where I'm going to put all that information. What's up, Michael, over here on YouTube? How you doing? So just keep an eye out on that. Ooh, that was a big hit. Gotta love the run and gun. All right, who are all my arcades in chat? What's your, like, if you're playing lightning spec, what's your go-to rotation? I wanna learn what the current setup is. What's the current setup if you're hitting some lightning? I know fire is the shit, but we're not at fire yet because we're not end gaming it. Well, you're certainly more than welcome to hit up the actual panel is live right now. So like if you look at, where is it? No. Mute. So if you look down here, it is here right at the moment. So when you do use this, basically if you use this link, it'll do it. But you'll get the free meals and the free breakfast for as long as your subscription is active. So that's pretty sweet. Where does menu bar go? There it is. But again, we'll do I don't like, I want to move, so I'm just used to it with the champ, just being able to move. I don't think it matters too much right now because, you know, I don't have legendaries and stuff like that, so. Okay, I'm good there, good there. Okay, we need scouts, gems, root vegetables, more blade beaks still. Okay. Guy actually have a quest right now? Oh yeah, I gotta, this is who I gotta find. Oh, he's up. One more.
in our time of need.
Will you help us? Let's just go get our Marival. There, now I'm no longer rooted. Oh, now is not the time, my friend. I kind of even forgot about that. I forgot about the wraiths, to be honest. All right, so Bookworm, what's your fire rotation? Let me do that. Maybe I will switch if it sounds intriguing. What do you got? Hit me with the details. Okay, and last Marival. Let's go. Let's go. Excuse me. No, I want to hear though. Like I'm open to, like I want to listen and learn. What do you got? I don't have to. I just kind of like to. That's all. There's a distinct difference between the two.
The lamor are becoming few. Will you hear my tidings, little wanderer?
What are you doing? Throwing down about 50 stones? More carry. Where you going, dude? You didn't even kill the main lady. All right, whatever. He probably doesn't have her yet. Easy. Where to fire? SAFI. Yeah, okay. And if you can manage a double instant cast of Essence of Flame, that's together moderate, but honestly, it's mostly for raiding. I have to see what my. I have to see what that actual, like my skill setup is over there. Actually, I need to spend some more too. Yeah, let's start cooking on Furious Storms. Let's see what we got in fire. Yeah, I want some Mystifying Flames. We do want. I have mechanic. What is it? It's oh, I changed all that stuff on my other RK. Old. Let me switch servers real quick. I need a screenshot of my other setup. I do wish you could switch without having to relog completely. Could be nice. I can actually use, I guess, did they put in the level 50 boost or 150 boost yet from redoing the packages for Legacy of Morgoth? Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so this is I don't need that. Yep, there it is. Ultimate 150 level up package. I will probably do that actually for this character. But let me grab oh, no. That way my champ and my RK will be 150 and I'll be happy with that. All right, so the way I had it set up on the other one was, say, yeah, I think if you do tier 3, everything should be unlocked, maybe just at a lower item level, maybe, if you're gonna barter for it, and then your drops, like if you actually get drops, they're higher. I think that makes kind of the most sense in my mind, but I don't know, that's also me, so oh, I don't have combustion yet. Funny. Mystify down here. Okay. That should do for now. Ooh, I don't want the targeted one though. Hold. I don't like using the targeted one that much, to be honest. Okay. I don't though. I don't want targeting. I hate it. I don't like the way it works. I don't like where it immediately draws behind you. I just don't like it, so I'm not gonna do that. That's not happening. I will take the toss that in there, toss 2 ranks in. Don't care about that. There we go. Do I still play New World at all? No. Can't say that I do. I know they just brought out New World Eternum, but that's just, no pun intended, that ship has sailed for me. There's too many other MMOs on the horizon for me that I have an interest in. It's the same game, but it's more solo oriented now. Like I've been watching and hearing people, and it seems like even more so it's more that way. The thing is, I really enjoyed New World. I really did. It was actually a lot of fun for me. But it was another situation where too many people quit and it made it not fun. Know what I mean?
The lame are becoming fewer.
Damn, that was 10k XP when you're only needing 90,000 for a level. That's pretty sick. Yo, Miss Me, thank you for the follow, buddy. Welcome in. Appreciate it. Oh, I need some more blade beaks. There we go. Goblin gems are all the way down the other end. I should go get those. I should go get them. Yeah. I heard somebody went from like 34 to 60 in like a few hours or something like that. And I was like, I don't know. That just, it doesn't. I think by contrast, okay, so you guys know that I'm pretty invested into Ashes of Creation, right? You guys all know that. I've been following it since 2017. I didn't get in on the Kickstarter, but shortly after on one of the Voyager packs. So you know, I actually have like a monetary investment into the game. So I've been in Alpha 1, which you guys got to see if you caught those streams when I was playing that. I played Ashes of Apocalypse, the battle royale that they did, basically their combat sim. Like, checked out all that stuff, and I like where they're going with it. There are things that I don't like about it. There's things that I do like about it. I do like that it's an old style MMO that has your traditional like quests and PvP and all that stuff. I know people are going to be turned off at the fact that it is it's open world PvP. It's not like, I don't think there's going to be as much griefing as in other games because it's not linear in its quest progression. So while there still will be griefing, but there's also a corruption system that actually takes place in there that if you sit there and grief people, you become a target. So there's that as well. Ooh, I forgot these guys are a little extra. I can get a lot of deflects on these guys. But it's not one of these newer generation ones. Same as Black Desert had. I only played Black Desert, I think, like once or twice while I was at TwitchCon one year. But yeah. So on October 25th, Alpha 2 is coming out for Ashes of Creation, and the NDA shall be lifted, so I'll be able to play and stream and make videos and set myself back up in the content creator space again for that, which is exciting. I am pretty excited for that, to be honest. Okay. We got another class trait point. Let's do further reduce inductions. Yes. Okay, let's just mithril back while we got XP cooking.
The Lema are becoming pure. Leave the Yorkin in peace. We do not know who is our friend.
Ooh,
Are
nice.
you? Greetings, little one. You are welcome here, little friend.
Zooming through. Halfway through this level already, and I just leveled.
Leave the Yorkin to sadness.
Hello, get on this mount. Thank you.
What brings you to this place?
I guess I gotta wait for him. Okay, I don't think they've got anything more for me now. No, I'm not gonna sit here and farm these guys. Your legend grows. Oh yeah, I can get books now. Ooh. Ah, books. Nerdy, what is what caught your interest about Ashes? Did it? You gotta clip it. What did it line up with? I don't think there's anything back there. Clip it and ship it. What's up, sweepies? Dude, sweepies, did you see my little Hobbit runekeeper? I think you did. With his little Palpatine face. He's been playing around with fire and lightning too much. He got a little melted. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I do. Defeat the Iron Crown. Alright, this might get a little dicey back there. Does you guys have anything else for me this time around? No. He doesn't. Oh, okay. Let's see, I'll mute this. How did it line up? Yeah, I do. Maybe I'm oh, horse ass. Maybe I'm just not picking up what you're putting down. Were you talking in relation to the, like, it stopping and then the thing exploding and then starting again? I just need to know where your headspace is at on that. Okay. Okay, I got you. I got you. I got you. Spiders. I don't like us as spiders. Sweepies, what are you guys doing tomorrow night? Yeah, I didn't realize the game was loud as shit. You work? What time are you working? $10 Pam. All right. Got you. I mean, that's totally up to you, my guy. I'm just trying to see if you guys wanted to kick it or something. I've been trying to hang out with Train for like, I don't know, 2 months. Only way I get to hang out with him is in stream, so. Or remoting into his computer to fix something right now. Actually, the Sweepies, what's your go-to like class type in an MMO? Do you like casters, ranged, melee, tanks? Like what do you like? What's your go-to? Isn't this dude up here? Yeah, he's up here. I don't have any more. I don't have any more mithril. No. Actually, that's fine because then I can. That's all right because that means I can just go down here and get to level 40 off of killing a couple mobs. Yeah. Yes. Ooh, not a mournful. Okay, we're doing it. Guess worst case, it'll port me back. Haha, sucker! Out here soloing mournfuls. I wouldn't have been able to do that like a couple months ago though when they came out. Do 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 do. Hmm. Yeah. Keep forgetting you're still under 40 since you are questing in the Ramdwath. Nice work on the mournful. Hell yeah. That's what's up. All right, so you only got 10 levels left for this guy. It's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Level 40 should send me to Ohio anyway. The Earth Kid.
Leave the York kid in peace.
In peace. What was that? Do not fall this day. Completed level 40. Ark, ark, ark. Ooh, actually, it did not give me. Did not give me the vector. No, it's right here. It is available now that we have completed that.
You may help the York.
Go talk to Granog, the man of the hills. Yes. Well, Bookworm, I'm not under 40 anymore. So there's that. Trying to think of I know. Just
There are
messing.
many urgent matters to discuss.
There are many urgent matters to discuss.
The hills of Angmar are not friendly to the unwary.
To the trip over dying.
Might I take a moment of your time?
Might actually go do Halls of Night.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
Of your time. Any class recommendation for starting in legendary server? Quite literally whatever you want to play. If there's something that is speaking to you,
Sojourning here.
then I don't know, like what do you play in other MMOs?
Have
Or
allied
have you,
themselves
is this like your first time playing Lotro? I need some more info.
It has been long since we have known peace.
I want anyone available for Halls of Night level 40 plus. Anything though I have heard Berg isn't the best for Wraith kill. Oh yeah, I feel like it would be kind of. Yes, Minstrel's great. Minstrel's fantastic. That's actually my first character was on Legendary. I'm playing a lot of the casters right now, so. It is good fun. Yes, very much so. Can confirm. 10 out of 10 would play. Discover what became of Durel. Yeah. Um.
The hillmen of Angmar have discovered an ancient barrow hidden away for centuries. The leaders of Ohio have called for adventurers willing to brave the tomb, rumored to be filled with wealth and riches. Markings surrounding its entrance bear an ominous warning. Twisted creatures and slumbering warriors at the foot of a powerful sorcerer.
We'll just go, we'll go full Assassin's Creed right now. Just waiting for them to get in here.
Put a yard into the end
What's
zone,
going on
brings it
in
back
this
out to the 28-yard line.
What's going on in this game right here? Hmm. think the other thing we can do too is check out Casual Stroll. Anybody get to watch that earlier today? Look at all that healing. Let's do it. Ooh, I'm green. This instance was creative, but just odd. Sheesh. I'm guessing I should have done a little bit higher level. It's all right though. He's just flat out breaking. That loot though. Damn. Let me out, let me out. God, this scaling loot is so terrible.
Greetings.
All right, let's do this. I'm gonna pull up casual stroll. Get away from this dude.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another casual
I guess I'll take this off of full screen so you can actually see him.
Scenario on the message boards, and we're here today for our
He said
final
message
preview
boards.
stream for the Legacy of Morgoth expansion pack. We just hit Bull Roarer with the first two regions, and we wanted to wrap up this series by going through the instances for all of the regions. So with that in mind, we get started. A reminder, this is a primarily world design focused stream, so we're going to be taking the look and feel, but we do have a special guest today. Our guest, Ong McMahal, one of our systems designers, is joining us to talk a little bit about what goes into making instances, skills, rewards, and whatnot. So welcome aboard.
There's On.
So
howdy, good to be here.
Any quick overlaps? All right. So, we are ready to get going. So we've got this kind of nice view starting out here. So this expansion pack comes with 3 instances out of the box. We've got a 3-person instance in Amberol. We have a 6-person instance in Kudzagin and another 6-person happening in Imular. And eventually we'll have the raid space being released post-launch, which will be taking place in Urush-Dar. So we wanted to just jump in. Like I said, normally this is a world design focused stream, but with Onmak Mahal here, we figured we would open the floor to talking about kind of broader topics of, what our goals are for creating instances, if there are any just high level thematic goals that come with developing mechanics, as well as any themes associated with how we reward the players for completing the instances. So with that in mind, and we do, just so people are aware, instances are not the only interiors that are going to be a part of this expansion pack. There are a handful of other, story-based instances, as well as just dungeon interiors associated with the landscape that you'll be able to go into and explore. Not sure we'll be able to get to those today, but we did want to take a little bit of time to talk about the instances themselves. So we'll
this is actually a good one for me to watch. I'm actually intrigued about this.
The instance in Amberol, which is the salt mine. I can never remember the names of these spaces, so you'll pardon me if I don't say anything exactly right. But here we go.
I'd pronounce it wrong if I said the name.
Ashunnug, the Fane of, let's see, mouse over, the Accursed.
This is the spider one, right?
So this is one of the instances that I did the world design for, and one of our newer designers did the instance design for. It's available on Bolor right now. So while I walk around inside it, is there anything in particular to this instance space that you're interested in talking about on that?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things we're trying to do with each of these is tie them a little bit more, like instances in the past have, to some of the storylines in the areas. So we're really happy, or I've been really happy to get to work with both multiple world designers and multiple content designers on these spaces. The designers who are working on these instances are also working on like the quests in these regions. So hopefully, I know that players have been into this instance and into Amber Rule on beta, but hopefully, as you're playing through this organically on live, also it feels very much a part of the storyline of this zone.
That's good. That's how it used to be in
that was
the old days.
One of the things that I think we wanted to come back to was, having instance spaces dovetail into the storylines of the regions that we're building.
Absolutely.
With the launch of the game, we had places like the Great Barrow and the Red Swamp that kind of acted as the capstone experience for a region before you're ready to move on. And I know that was something that Orion in particular was very excited to bring back to this expansion pack. It's always interesting building these spaces too, because as a world designer, I have a very different sense of space compared to the designers that are working on them. It's a very difficult balance to like build a space that feels good to me visually, but is not too big or too small or too complex for what the instance designers want to do in these spaces.
Yeah, a lot of that first order instance feedback tends to be like, oh, if there's anything in the room, we'll find a way to get a boss caught on it and exploit the mechanics that way. So it's a constant struggle.
These crystals.
Yeah.
And I think instance spaces always end up being kind of a different beast when it comes to developing a release, because usually the world design team is the first team that's like boots on the ground when it comes to building out a landscape update.
I think this dungeon actually looks really cool.
We often
I'm curious to see how it actually plays in the higher tiers.
And the game systems team to be the first people thinking about and constructing the instances, at least from the paper design standpoint.
It's also kind of weird to see it without all the mobs, because we played it last week. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, and actually going in. And what was interesting is because this set of instances will follow the new structure with tiers 1 through 4 instead of 1 through 5. So 1 should be, for the vast majority of people, pretty easy. 2 should be the new like normal mode. 3 will be a little bit more challenging, and 4 will be much harder by design. So I know we talk about this so often, but my favorite scheme has always been tier 1, 2, and 2 challenge. You could substitute that. I've been thinking about it a little bit more. You could substitute that with just a 1, 2, and 3. Story, normal, and challenge. Like, I'd be totally fine with that, because I think there's an inherent flaw with doing too many tiers, and that is that they have to come up with so many mechanics and so many different things that need to happen in each version. So essentially 1 and 2, you're developing one raid. 3 and 4, you're 3, you're developing another one, and then 4 and 5, you're developing another one. I don't necessarily like that approach. I've having played a lot of different things mechanically, from the oldest raids that were only this is the difficulty that it is, to the stuff where we got tiers 1, 2, and 2 challenge, to then we're getting tiers 1 through 5, and now going back through and going tiers 1 through 4. I think the strongest kind of method for it was 1, 2, and 2 challenge. I really like that, because you still had to have your shit together to do challenge modes. They were fun, they were different, and you got the extra loot for accomplishing that. So I'd always like to see it go back to that. That was my favorite. I know people disagree with that. That's totally cool, but I think this setup, the 1 through 4, is okay. It's better than 1 through 5, but that's also having not played tier 4. So we'll see.
And I'm really excited about how these spaces thematically connect to some of the fights. I want to do my best to answer questions and sort of talk about some of this stuff without spoiling too many of these things. But partly that's just because for me, it's been really cool to see these spaces come to life. I mean, for me, being like completely on the other side of the fence compared to Scenario, it's a lot of fun to have, this paper concept of, a list of skills and things that are related to this space, and then to actually get into it and see, spooky hallways and this big, scorpion altar and stuff. It's very exciting for me to see it.
Yeah, you don't want to do tier 4, tier 5. You're not that sweaty of a player. I don't want to do it in the vein that, like, that's where the best gear comes from anymore. Like, I still think unlock should come from 3. Like, that's a pretty good, and you could have like the higher item level stuff and maybe something more rare, but like hard modes, challenges, things like that, that was never really meant for like better gear. It was meant for like bragging rights that you're like, you did it. Yeah, tier 5 3-mans, that's a different ball game too, because like 3-mans are such a weird thing with group comps. Like it has to be like tier 5 3-mans are just, they're not even difficult, they're monotonous. They're long, they don't need to be that long. The bosses just have so much morale. They're just morale sponges. The mechanics are not challenging really. Some of them are just like unfair is not the right word, but like I was thinking of the little cyclones in I can't think of the name right now. You know what I'm talking about though. The one with the alligator and the eagle and all that stuff. But like the little cyclones that are flying around, and if you don't get them all interrupted, like people are getting 2-shot and stuff like that, even with mitts and things like that. But I don't know. It's not difficult. It's just kind of like an annoyance almost. I guess that's more where it's at. It's just kind of an annoyance. Like I want more mechanical things that I have to do certain things and I have to play smart. It's not a matter of just smashing buttons as fast as I can or in like this great uninterrupted sequence of stuff. Like I like creativity. I like things to be challenging in different ways. It's okay, like in a raid setup, to have like your DPS or your mitt check boss, like the first boss in Throne, but then you know, having to do other things, I think makes it more fun. At least for me it does. Because like just going in and just DPS racing everything all the time, it's kind of boring, to be honest. So, and please no more arena where certain combos just mean death. Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm with you there.
Well, and one of the things too that's interesting is usually when we're building landscape, we just kind of do our thing, and as we're building, we're working with our content folks and systems folks, saying like, oh, this is a cool place for this is a cool place for that. And for us, it's a really different experience because now like we're not the ones kind of spearheading the design and direction of the space, and often it's really up to us to find the spaces on the fringes of an encounter where we can add the character, as opposed to on landscape where it's like the character of the space is front and center right in the middle of everything.
And especially too, like,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when we get to this point, like there's a lot that I can say about this instance because players have seen it too. But like when we get to this point, part of what's really both challenging and fun, I think, is that we get all of these different designers from different fields into the same space at the same time. And we're really working to make sure that this is like, you know, both thematically appropriate, it has the right look and feel, it has the right gameplay length, it has the right, you know, spaces that we need for different gameplay mechanics. For those of you who've gotten into that final boss room, like that room looks very different just on the surface compared to when you're in the instance running the encounter. And then the mechanics that we add into that space force you to interact with the space in a very different way. So there's a lot of both challenge and fun to be found in, you know, our various disciplines coming together at this point in the process where we can plug all the pieces in at once.
Yep. Since this is live on Bull Roar right now, I don't think we have to worry too much about spoilers. There may be some like key mechanics when it comes to boss encounters that we want to avoid. But is there anything that you found while working on this space with your content designer that you were partnered with that you're really kind of interested and excited about talking about for this instance in particular?
I mean, the coolest thing about this space is the scorpions, and it's very exciting every time we get a new thing that we get to work with. And you know, there are limitations to everything we do, but we were really excited to see how we could push the 3-player instance here. So three-player instances are really challenging for us to design because we don't know or we don't have the same sort of fixed understanding of what the player group composition is going to look like. So we get to this point
we were just talking about that.
We have a strong sense of the theme of the space. I mean, Scenario's done an excellent job with this space. The scorpions all around, the mood lighting, the twisting, winding tunnels, and then we get to a point where we want to make sure that the, you know, encounters reflect some of that. So the feedback has been really good so far. I appreciate the feedback that we've gotten up to this point. But it's really exciting when we get to the point where we can sort of plug in, you know, like we know that there's a cult here. We know that there are scorpions here. How are the cult members interacting with the scorpions? How are players interacting with both of those? How are you forced to, you know, backpedal when you see an unexpected mechanic for the first time? When you get into this darkest part and you maybe start taking damage because the shadows are so deep down here.
Now, one of the things that you know, with the content designer that was working on it, and usually the breakdown between content designer and a systems designer in these spaces is the content designer kind of handles the in-space logic for what's going on, and it's your role as a systems designer to handle the mechanical logic of, you know, what the mobs in the space are doing or what effects might be flying off of them at any moment to mess with the player, right?
Precisely, yeah.
And for me, like I'm just happy to be along for the ride, because often in spaces like this, while the look and feel is certainly important for selling the character of a space, what the space is often matters a bit less in comparison to what is happening in the space. So we try, like I said, we try to add in that theming on the sides. This instance space, for example, was an opportunity for me to play around with structures that we haven't really used much before when it comes to building a dungeon space, and trying to make a space that meets the goals of our content designer, meets the goal of Ongmak when it comes to the actual space. So I'm coming up into the second boss encounter room, for example, and the space as I originally built it was going off of a map that the designers had passed on to me, and these rooms were much bigger than was originally expected, just because the way we as world designers perceive space is a little bit different than how other designers might see a space. So like we kind of took the map very literally and made these boss rooms match what we assumed to be the scale, and then that came back as a round of feedback. We're like, well, this is too big, we need to like shrink it down a little bit. Where are spots where we can shrink it down? And working with the content designer who was building the encounters, basically saying like, okay, you put down these like crate walls, for example, to kind of close off the areas that you want to close off, and then I'll come back in later, and if we need to spruce things up a little bit, we can do that.
It's always a challenge in a boss room to make it feel like a real sort of lived-in space at the same time that it's like an appropriate mechanical space for a boss encounter. I'm sure many people in the chat right now know, you've played a game here or there where you get to a big boss arena and it's nothing. Because for us, mechanically, we want a boss arena to be like a flat surface with nothing going on, but we're also trying to tell this whole story with it too, right? Like you've got mobs in here that are milling about, that are theoretically here doing things that are entirely outside of your story as the hero character. So
yeah, that is certainly something that makes me as a world designer and artist a little sad, is when I'm told to make a 40 by 40 arena, but make it completely flat so that our pathing and effects don't do weird things.
Well, yeah.
So that leads us to doing things like I've done here, where we have like
how many encounters have you guys played where stuff is broken because it's either an LOS issue, or you're standing on something that forces something to go into anti-exploit, or just any of those things like that. I'm sure that's a challenge for an older engine like this, where just the logic is old. So like I'm sure pathing is challenging, because a lot of people don't think about this too, is like when you have like follow, for example, like you literally draw a point between the two characters, and that's why like people fall off mountains and rivers and all that kind of stuff, is because if this person's walking this direction and it's directly a 2 point, it's a line, and if this person goes here, well, they don't follow the route, they follow the person. So they can cut corners and stuff. And so that happens with the leashing or the tethering in with mobs as well. So it can cause all kinds of problems. So it makes sense why they would do like flat arenas like that to do it, just because logic is weird.
Planks and whatnot embedded in the floor, and these debris piles.
Actually, it's interesting too, because I've seen a lot of issues over the years with targeting in stuff like this, where there's like 2 layers. Like you've probably seen it where there's like rubble piles on top of grates or on top of the ground, and you'll lose the targeting underneath that because it's 2 different layers. That is something that has always driven me nuts, because like positioning is key in a lot of things. Positioning and placement, 2 different things. So like puddles being hidden underneath things. So like that drives me nuts from a visual standpoint, because it's like you need to know where to stand, and if something gets tucked underneath like one of these things and you can't see it, well, and then you're dying, you're like, well, I don't know, I'm not standing anything. Well, yeah, you are. So
other areas that we'll look at later, you leverage particle effects pretty heavily to just add visual noise to a space to make it look and feel cozier, more lived in, more busy than it physically actually is in order to support the gameplay. So I think we've taken a look at the salt mine pretty well. Before we bop off to the next one, I do want to take a look and see if there are any questions that we can answer here in chat. So we'll see. So Old Benny asks, any theme with these instances similar to what Orion was saying that we all wanted to do, to feel like we were fighting other players, like within the depths of Magda Cordo? I don't think that was the intention, particularly with this space. I don't think any of the encounters were really meant to feel like you were fighting, another burglar or another guardian or anything like that. But it did seem like an interesting approach and kind of a switch up from what players are used to.
Yeah, we definitely weren't trying to do like another sort of mirrored fight, but we are making an effort also to make these fights feel both related to one another and different from one another. Like, you want to feel a sense of continuity as you move through the space. When you're fighting cultists at the beginning, you start getting introduced to mechanics that you see that the boss cultists have, but you also start to see the scorpions that you see more and more as you go deeper into the space. So it's a challenge to make it. You don't want to feel like, as a player, that you're doing one boss fight and then that boss fight version 2 and then that boss fight version 3 as you move through. Like, you want to feel like they're different, but also we're in this one continuous story.
Yep. So I just bopped over to the tombs of Nirgambar, and we'll run through that again. We'll run through that shortly. I just want to go through a couple more questions. Softsnake GR says, his all-time question. You make so much landscape in the world and only for level 150. Why don't you make landscapes that have some live events or world bosses like warbands or roving threat like bosses? I think we've kind of, and if aspects of the Veil of the Nine event and prior world landscape bosses have shown us, is that doing big, bold encounters like that on public landscape can be challenging, both from a balance perspective, because you have no control over how many people are going to show up to that fight. Like, you could have a roving threat on landscape and it's just you and a buddy and you have no way of being able to beat it, or you have something like a ring wraith show up and you have the entire server descend on it, and that makes balancing those encounters really, really hard, and why we tend to lean more towards instancing and more towards things like missions and skirmishes and whatnot, to have those kind of signature experiences. Not to say that we won't do those things in the future, but it does present a design and balance challenge when those things are put on public landscape. All right, we have someone saying, it kind of reminds me of ancient Egypt. Certainly some themes kind of similar to those regions can be found throughout everything we're doing in this area. We have a question from Drew, or a comment from Druidfire saying, we need those crawling scorpions as
lower
house
left.
deco.
Upper
Imagine
right
the spooky
is on.
The spooky themed houses with that. Decals are actually something that are kind of hard to
Scenario is
do
the one
as
talking
deco
right now.
items, because they kind of project and bake themselves onto the surface that they're on. So there may be a static version of that we could produce sometime, but sadly it is not going to be available for the launch of things. Druid's Fire also asks, was the content designer for the instance the same as the one who did the heavy lifting for the zone as a whole? No, it was actually two separate people. Usually when we come to a space like this and start working on our landscape plan and our instance plan, people can kind of decide what they want to work on. And the person who was doing the lion's share of the content work for Amberol opted to just do the content work for Amberol, and one of our other designers, who is very interested in instances, decided to take up the instance for the region. Let's see, go through.
Last one's for you, Scenario. Any housing items coming from these instances?
Any housing items coming from these? It's from Old Benny.
What I guess for the.
Yeah, there are a few. There are certainly a ton of housing items coming with this update. I think I've produced about 200 of them based off of all the deco items and objects that we had created, that the art team created for us for this update. And we had a meeting, what was it, last week before, where we kind of like looked through all of it and earmarked what reward vectors all of those would have. So there are definitely a lot of heavy themes from this region in the housing rewards. The big torches, not so much, but a lot of structural stuff, a lot of flora. So there's a lot. It's all on Bullroar right now. You can find, if you go to Trotter in the Isengard Tavern, you can start taking a look at the housing stuff. And I know Yao Deco de Milieu already has a preview up for those items too.
There was also a question about balance. I just to clarify, this is the first Bull Roar that the Amber Rule 3-player instance has been up, so there are definitely a few things that need to be tuned about that instance. Boss 2 in particular is there's more outgoing damage than there should be from those bosses.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things about Bull Roar is, you know, it's a beta environment, or sometimes, depending on where we're at, it can even be an alpha environment. And so we hope for things to be working perfectly, but we expect to get bugs. So for those of you that are wondering too, as I'm walking around these spaces, you're noticing there's no monsters, there's no fighting going on. I'm in the instance 0 version of these. This is the empty version, just so that we can walk around and take a look at the space unimpeded.
That's interesting.
We're in the Tombs of Nirgumbar right now. I think this is the next instance that we are planning to have available on Bullroar, but I'm not exactly certain of that. I'm not sure what our schedule and timing is for all of these. But this is our Kudzagin instance. Again, it's showcasing the.
This actually kind of reminds me of
a lot of the new structures that we
Street.
have from the Shigana asset set. These kind of big, imposing colonnades and whatnot. And I am super thrilled with these assets and to be working with them. And they make nice,
really
flat instance spaces for you.
One of the things that's been really cool to see the world team put together for these spaces and the artists who are making these assets
looks really cool.
Is, you know, this is called the Legacy of Morgoth, the expansion. And so a lot of these spaces are, to the point of the person who mentioned that it feels sort of Egyptian, like a lot of these are meant to feel very old, very, very old. And I know that can feel kind of like a lot of other things in a lot of games try to do, you know, this is old, but, you know, conveying a sense of age and imperiality about these spaces can be hard. And I think what the team has done with these is really, really magnificent.
Don't mind me as I admin hack my way through a door. I was watching a streamer yesterday, and he was really, really wanting to have, you know, run around in Kudzagin in stormy weather, and he's like, "Hey, if Dev's watching this, can you log into Bullroar and make it stormy for me?" I don't think we have those kinds of effects going on in the dungeons, but who knows? The artists always.
I feel like he's talking about when I was asking for the sandstorm the other day.
Yeah, there are definitely some fun surprises that have been built into this space.
So this is a space I didn't build. One of our other world designers built it. So I'm just, just kind of wandering.
No, I mean, he wasn't
around
lurking. He was actually talking. So.
You can actually see up here. There is a little piece of logic that hasn't been layered off. Remote detector. That's our way for us to let monsters know when you're in an area, and ignore the Z fighting.
Oh, I got you.
Bugs.
Yeah, well, depends on the audience. I know there are. I think there was a time where on the old forums we had one person who was very diligently finding every single intersecting object, Z fighting thing, and reporting it in a thread. And I think we still have bugs in our world queue that we haven't gotten to yet, just because of how thorough that player was going through everything.
Z fighting too is one of those like bizarre, technologically only it can only exist in virtual space, because you can only have Z fighting if it's mathematically identical in position. In the real world, you might be one atom off from the other. You wouldn't have Z fighting, but
Yeah, well, and it all comes down to just the engine just fighting over, or the objects rather, not even necessarily the engine, but the objects fighting over basically who gets to be seen first.
Yeah.
I feel like it's both of them going Marsha, 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 and neither of them winning that argument.
I love these tunnels though. I am personally a fan of the deep dark spaces in Lotro. And one of my favorite things about seeing these instant spaces for the first time is just how much spookier they get as you descend.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Let's. There we go. So you can no longer see our death pancake. That way leads to death. And I don't think I went through all of the instance. I think this is just one like kind of wing of it, from my understanding.
Okay. I know we've talked about this a lot too. I really genuinely wish there were dungeon maps. Like I don't know. Like, is it something that's like immersion breaking for some people? I don't know. I look at Throne of the Dread Terror. That was a good example. I don't know. I like maps. Maps are cool. Like, and just don't get me wrong. Like, maps are cool. The dungeon spaces would be the perfect place to use the parchment style maps versus the overland map, which is, basically the tiles from the mini map, or vice versa. Dungeon maps would be perfect to use the parchment styles. I'd be all about that. That'd be sick.
But it's
I'm not certain. I saw a question
room to walk into.
There was a question in chat about whether or not the space is non-linear. My understanding is that the space is more or less linear, but like many of the spaces in the game, it's meant to imply more non-linearity than exists.
I think that's one of the great tricks that a level designer always keeps in their pocket when they're building a space like this is, you get kind of your map from your design partners, and you kind of look at it and you're like a little sad because you're like, oh, well, I had all of these other great ideas for this space, but none of them really fit within the linear path that, the designer might want for the space. So then it's up to us to like put little pockets in places here and there that aren't accessible. Things like this up here where you've got this sarcophagus up high that's in an inaccessible area, but it helps the world designer, the artists, tell the story of the space in a way that doesn't impact the gameplay of the space. Let's speed up my movement a little bit. All right. Any other questions? I know there were some questions about class stuff. We're not really going to be focusing on that in this stream. However, Orion is subbing in for Cordovan for next week's Court of the Ring. So this week's Court of the Ring.
I was going to say, this is 3 hours ago.
I would highly recommend that if you have questions for things that we're not covering in this stream, that you jump into that stream Friday at noon Eastern time, so that you can ask those questions there. So for example, this room. Sorry, what?
I was just gonna say I'm not gonna answer those questions. You can ask them right now. I'm just not gonna answer them right now.
Yeah. So as I was saying about like little side rooms and whatnot, and the door that I just deleted, my assumption would be that this door will open up as part of gameplay, but often we'll have little side hallways like this that are just closed off that you can see beyond into without getting access to. And sometimes that does inspire the designers who are working in the space to do something with them. You know, they'll swap out the static door that we put in with something that is openable and can be used for gameplay purposes. So I don't think there's anything down there. One of the things I love about this space too is just like how high up the ceilings go and how it kind of makes you feel tiny inside of it. What was Morgoth getting up to with all of these grand temples and tombs?
Certainly no good to be found with the dead here.
All right. Well, I think we've gotten a good sense of the look and feel of this space. How about we bop on over to the next one? Next one is the Wells of Forgetting.
The Wells of Forgetting. That's the 6-person
development name, or the actual final name for that, but it will tell us when we go into it. You see the loading screen here, and Breland Unexplored. This is part of our like development process. All land blocks, all locations in the game start out as an unexplored territory, and then over time, as we work in them, we assign appropriate information to them. So right now, this is unexplored territory, but will eventually be assigned, you know, the proper area designations.
Oh, the skyboxes. They're so simple, but so cool.
The designer for this space really wanted at least portions of it to feel like you were wandering around within an ancient Shigani city. And I think the world designer that built that really pulled this off pretty well. I know originally the world designer that made this was really hoping to build it on landscape just because it would make some aspects of the work being done here much simpler. Like, you know, things like the ground texture here would allow us, if we were on landscape, to paint it however we need to paint it in order to make it, you know, look good. But there's certainly benefits to building in a dungeon interior like this, particularly when it comes to just keeping a space simple. But again, this is another just like it feels cool and imposing where you're walking in here and there's these tall structures. I know this instance in particular was one where there was a lot of kind of rich conversation about what the designer of the space wanted to do with some of the boss encounters. And I think they're certainly going to be reminiscent of one of our Gundabad experiences as well. While avoiding the spoiler stuff, was there anything with this space in particular that you were like really excited?
Like, I do not mean this in a mean way, but this particular area that they're in looks very, very plain. So I'm hoping that there's some other stuff that, like whether it just be the mobs that kind of draw the attention of it, but yeah, I mean, I would think like these places out in the desert too. I mean, this could have like some sand drifts along here just to give it that more aged feel, like it's been around for a while. There's been storms and like it's just maybe it's too clean. That's the word I'm going for, because it is outside. Yeah, I think there should be a little bit more with it being outside. There should be a little bit more. Nobody's going around here with a leaf blower and cleaning up all this stuff. So I think it's just a little too clean.
About with the ideas from the designer.
I haven't actually seen this space since it was basically white boxed, so I'm kind of just enjoying this ride, seeing it, you know, much more polished with the various deco. I'm really excited about a couple of the mechanics in this space. The boss fights in here, we had some concerns early on that they might have been a little bit too involved for the time that we had available to us, but I think we've got things pretty well in and hooked up at this point. So I'm really excited to see players experience this. This is one of these, like, there's a really interesting story found in this space, and we're doing our best to convey that story through the mechanics of the bosses and how players are interacting with the bosses and the boss environments.
Yeah, this space is one core dungeon with a handful of interesting supporting spaces that you'll go into as part of the mechanics in the space. I'm not going to go to those little portions because, again, much like on Mac, I want to not spoil things. Once this is available on Bullroar, certainly the cat will be out of the bag. But for the time being, I think this space serves really well as just kind of an interesting statement on just the different approaches that designers can take using the same kinds of assets, right? Like, we went from the tombs of Nirgumbar, which were these big, imposing tomb structures, to building a city, basically, using the same assets. And, that really speaks to just, like, the flexibility that our artists provide us with the assets that they give us.
Yeah, even simple things like changing the colors of the lights in these rooms and some of the other decoration around them makes them feel very, very different. It's wild.
So Old Benny asks, is there a good amount of exploration and or slayer deeds for these instances? Has there been, I've been fairly divorced from the deed planning for the instance spaces. Usually, I'm pretty on top of them for the landscape. But I know deeds are a big part of kind of the advancement path through instances. Do you know much about what the deed plans are for all of these instances?
Yeah, I would expect the normal amount. One of the sort of stretch goals that we have penciled in is that we would always love to have more interesting deeds, especially in instance spaces. The challenge is that a lot of times, even something that is simple to understand, simple on paper, it can be very, very complicated to set that up in a space. So if it's just for a deed that's kind of for flavor, that tends to be, one of the first things that gets cut when we get into crunch time, and we just don't have the bandwidth to do that sort of flavorful stuff. So I would expect the normal deeds. They've got, standard instance deeds, meta deed, the things that you're used to that are kind of the usual, but I wouldn't expect too much on top of that.
So Mario Justum asks, while designing instances, do you have to be much more conscious about the amount of unique assets, textures, etc. for performance reasons versus landscape? Is it a big consideration or not much different from landscape? I think there are very different considerations. From the world perspective, lighting takes a much greater effort for us in dungeon spaces because they're generally tighter spaces. We need to make sure there's good visibility all around, and just having like a single light in a space doesn't do a good enough job of portraying the character of the space. So lighting is often something that, like, we'll do our first pass on it and then we'll check our light influence counts and we're like, oh, this thing has 15 lights on it. That's going to make for an angry asset, and we have to fix that. I think in dungeon spaces we do get some benefits from better performance in terms of visibility culling, as well as just the amount of stuff that is loaded in general is less when you're in a dungeon space than when you're on landscape. When you're in dungeon space, the only land block that space cares about is the one you're in. When you're on landscape, you have to load all of the stuff in the surrounding loaded land blocks, as well as anything that might be in far view, all of the sky data, like all of that stuff. So there's a much smaller set of assets that you have to worry about. I think in instance spaces, and Onmac and I were talking a little bit about this before going on camera, instance spaces, sometimes I think it can be a little bit easier to accidentally create mechanics and effects and whatnot that can be unperformant in like an instance than on landscape, just because our ambitions on landscape are not as intense as they are in an instance space. So I think we lean more towards trying to be careful about the mechanical performance in dungeon spaces than we are about the fidelity, the art performance.
Yeah, every game is different. Every game engine is different. At the end of the day, this is binary running on your computer at a certain level. So it might be easy to say, like I was having this conversation with a designer in this space even a couple of weeks ago. There was a mechanic that we had talked about that was pretty straightforward, But when I got to the point where I was actually implementing these skills and mechanics, I realized, oh, I totally skipped over the fact that the detection was a negative. And like detecting a absence of something is one of those things that for us as humans is conceptually very simple, but for a program can often be extremely complicated because the computer just doesn't have, whatever your code that you're running is just doesn't necessarily know the way that your brain does if something is not there. Detecting the absence of something is just one of those weird things that, like, if you're not careful, it can be extremely non-performant. So, in this circumstance, in that instance, we just work around it and we kind of don't detect a negative. But that's the kind of thing that, like, man, it can rise up out of nowhere.
How often are you trying to find something that isn't there? All the time? Oh, yeah, maybe not that.
Yeah. Yeah, like maybe every frame 2 monsters need to always know if there's nothing within 40 meters of them. That's actually extremely bad. We should not do that.
Liquor Rock says, this looks awesome. Will this instance have some vendors like in the Isle of Storms? So I think for context for people that are unfamiliar, there is a kind of small section at the very beginning of the Isle of Storms where you can find standard vendors, supplier, provisioner, healer, I believe, are there. And that was kind of added in as sort of a convenience feature, just in case like you were having a hard time with the challenge modes and you just kept wiping and wiping and wiping, and it would allow you to do the repairs that you need to do to your gear, purchase if there were potions pots that you needed to like dispel effects and whatnot. Those were there to kind of help support that. I'm not sure if we have plans for those for any of these spaces, or even if those things kind of fit thematically in some of these spaces. I think with the Isle of Storms, it kind of fit thematically. It's like, oh, well, you're not the only shipwrecked mariners that came across this island and are trapped in an adventure. Whereas something like the Tombs of Nirgambar, or the Wells of Forgetting, like those might not thematically make sense to go there. Not saying they won't go in there, or not saying there's not going to be an enemy with a profession title that is healer that's just going to run up and punch you in the face. But yeah, I'm not certain if something like that is appropriate for any of these spaces. However, the space that I just dropped into probably makes sense for something like that. So we're in the entryway into the raid space, Utug Bur. This space is not becoming available as part of the expansion pack. And this space kind of represents all of our instance designers and systems, helps us build these more organic look.
We do want players to understand that these are spaces in these regions that are related to some of the other things going on.
Let's see. So Fervagor has a question. Are there any plans?
I think
I love this hallway.
This is last week's, isn't it? I did this last week. I think Cord's just getting back now, so I think that's why stuff's getting uploaded later. So now that I think about it,
this feels so good to me.
Like the raid space looks awesome.
Like, we as designers have matured over the years, and when MMOs were kind of more of a fledgling experience, the idea of dedicating that much time to a single space in a playthrough was kind of like new and exciting and kind of appealing. But now we're all adults, or at least called adults, and we don't have that time. We as players ourselves just don't have that time because life. So having something set up in this way just makes it more convenient for everyone to have life in addition to having game.
Consider each 2 boss.
All right, and we're in here in the final space. So there's also, we're working with assets. When we build spaces like this, we often work with the assets that we have. So, for example, directly in front of me, this is a placeholder asset, which is going to be getting some unique art. We've already seen it from the artists. And that will anchor, the back of the room and kind of act as the focal point for the space. One of the things that is really nice about working with a project that has such a volume of assets is, while we may not always have the exact assets we need, we often have close enough assets, like the Fane to Sauron here. We often have close enough assets that we can use to sub in to kind of evoke the look and feel of what we're going for. And then we'll work with our artists to be like, this is the space that this thing goes, here are the dimensions for it, here's what it's supposed to look like. Do your awesome thing, artists, and make something cool and creepy and spectacular to go here. And I think the artist that was working on it nailed the cool and creepy and spectacular, and kind of I think the artist was like looking up Escher and non-Euclidean artwork when it came to coming up with the focal piece for this, because of that. But jump on in.
That's pretty much all of it. So I think the actual spaces that they made look pretty sweet. I think they're a little bit more unique than we've seen in a while, so that's good. I'm glad we're getting a few instances. I was kind of expecting a little bit more, and I know that's probably something developers hate hearing all the time, is like, oh, I thought there was going to be more. But like, being that this is a level 150 expansion pretty much, like part 2, kind of would have expected maybe like maybe like 3, 2, and 1, maybe 3 3s, 2 2s, or 2 6s and 1 raid, and maybe like a layer raid later or something like that. I think that's a good space to live in, but I don't know. I don't know. I do know I'm gonna get off here for the night because I got an early morning tomorrow. So then we'll probably do, I'm trying to think what's going on Saturday. I don't think anything's going on Saturday. I am gonna try to I did pick these guys up. So I know you guys saw these little mics that I was messing around with. Well, I kind of stepped up a little bit and got some better ones. So these guys are ready to rock and roll. These are actually kind of cool because they have, let me go back over to the main screen here for a sec. So this guy's cool because this actually has magnets. They actually wear it like that, which is fantastic. I won't be doing that for golf because that thing will just probably fly off. But it still has the clips, so I'll still be able to do that on like the like on my hat or whatnot. There, you can see a little bit closer now. Whoop. You can see a little bit closer now. Oh. So these guys will be fun. But yeah, I'll hop out of here for tonight. We'll be back on Saturday night. That one I'll have a little bit more time and freedom to do stuff, because I'll be off on Sunday. Like I said, hopefully we'll get to play some golf. Get a live stream of that going. We'll be playing 18, so it'll be a few hours, so it'll be a nice stream to have. But on that note, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys all have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cool. Later.